Pets Add Life, your guide to the latest in pet trends, products, and the joy of the human-animal bond, with Kristen Levine and Chris Bonafati, powered by the American Pet Products Association and DOGTV.
Welcome to the Pets Add Life podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Kristen Levine, and I'm always joined by my friend Chris Bonafati. Hi, Chris.
Hey, Kristen. How's it going?
It's going. I'm planning another road trip with Tulip, and just getting ready to hop on another eight-hour car ride with her, and trying to find ways to keep her happy while we're in the car.
That sounds like an adventure in and of itself, let alone the actual destinations you're going to and the itineraries you have planned. The process itself just seems exhausting. I have some trips coming up too, and we're flying to Chicago this summer, to Miami this summer. We've got a big Euro trip. Nice. A little worried about what we're going to be doing with the cat while we're gone, but
because you're not traveling with Tiger, right?
No way. No, Tiger barely leaves her little pillow that she has. I don't think she's too keen on moving cities, so she will be staying home while we accomplish this travel. But luckily for both of us, Kristen, we've got a whole show based around some summertime travel for our beautiful listeners at home. And for those of you joining us for the first time, welcome. For those of you who are veterans of the show, welcome back. We're going to be bringing you some excellent guest stories, products, and also answering some of your questions later on in the show. And we're going to be revolving it around travel and either leaving your pet at home or bringing them with you, however you prefer to do things. We want to give you some of that information so you are so prepared for this summer and all of your beautiful vacations. Kristen and Chris present Storytime. So for my story this week, it is travel adjacent, and it might convince some of you to bring your dog along for any camping trips. So this person in Oregon went on a camping trip. Oregon, obviously beautiful forests and woods, but it could get pretty remote. And they took their dog along with them. It was just the traveler and the dog. And as they were traveling from the campsite to either pick up supplies, the story doesn't really specify what they were doing, but they actually crashed their car and the driver fell unconscious.
Oh my goodness.
The dog traveled, I want to say here, nearly 4 miles to the nearest highway to get help, like Lassie.
Whoa.
Straight up like Lassie, traveled 4 miles and returned with help because obviously, with cars nowadays, when you crash, it sets off some stuff. But they were in such a remote area that the satellites weren't able to pick up the exact location of the vehicle. So the dog was actually able to find help, return to their owner, and it wound up saving this person's life. They ended up needing to use an intense highline rope system to pull this person. They crashed into a ravine. So the dog was obviously protected somehow in this car. So they were obviously using some type of protection to keep the dog safe, and was able to travel a total of 4 miles. It's ridiculous. What a great poop. So if you're traveling and you're going camping and you're thinking, oh, I'm going to leave Fido at home, think again. Because that pooch may end up being your saving grace.
That is a great story. And some people say that cats are smarter than dogs, but I'm not so sure. I mean,
if they are, they don't act like it. Yeah, Tiger's single brain cell right now is in box mode. So she just kind of goes into a box, and I don't know what she does in there. She might be plotting to take over the world. She might just be trying to instinctually find shade while it's hot. But no, I don't think Tiger would be coming to my rescue if I crashed my car.
Well, that may be true, but I went down this rabbit hole about cat brain facts when I was preparing for today's show. And I came across this really interesting article. It talked about how the cat's brain is 1% of their body weight. But the shape and the structure of their brain is very similar to the human brain, like 90% similar. Like they say that the cat's brain is compartmentalized and specialized and, connects very much like our human brain does. And so experts are saying that they estimate a feline's intelligence being similar to that of a 2-year-old toddler. So
that makes sense. That adds up to me.
So, but I found this test where you can see if your cat is smarter than a toddler. And here's how you do it. Okay. So to perform the test, all you need is a quiet room, a cardboard box, which you already have, Chris.
I'm already on it. Yeah.
And your kitty's favorite toy. Hopefully she has a favorite toy.
Okay.
Maybe. Okay. So
yeah, it's usually just whatever trash is on the ground.
Okay, perfect. Like a wadded up paper ball or something. So what you do is you allow your cat to see that you have this toy. Now then you place the toy behind the cardboard box. And if your cat simply accepts the fact that the toy has disappeared, not so smart. But if your cat does go searching for the toy behind the box, it's demonstrating that it has a grasp of object permanence.
Oh,
and apparently humans actually grasp that concept around the age of 2 years old. So that's just a quick IQ test for your feline.
That's awesome. I feel like we need to get like Jeff Foxworthy on this show so that we could do like, is your cat smarter than a 3-year-old?
Yeah.
And turn that into a little spin-off show. Let's write that down. A little spin-off show. Is your cat smarter than a 3-year-old? And we'll just get some cats on here to demonstrate if they have object permanence or not. I
also want you to do this test with Tiger, because on the next show I want to hear if Tiger passed the test or not.
Okay. I feel like she won't, but it won't be out of stupidity. It'll be out of pure apathy.
Well, but she's also very senior, isn't she?
She's very old. She's over 20 years old. So she does not.
So it could be cognitive issue or just like you said, apathy.
She also can't hear anything anymore. She is completely deaf. She has lost the ability to hear. It's actually quite funny because she'll vocalize to ask for something and then just sort of cruise around the condo meowing, just trying to find somebody, and we could be right there, and if she doesn't look right at us, she'll have no idea. Poor little girl. She's treated like a princess though, so nobody at home has to worry about her.
Okay. All right, good. Chris, do you remember Chrissy Joy from the Dog Moms?
How could I possibly forget?
Well, we're actually going to have her back today because she does a ton of traveling with her dogs, and we couldn't think of a better person to give us some travel tips. So
that sounds awesome. And I heard she is currently traveling. So we are getting travel tips from a currently traveling dog mom expert. What a segment. I mean, we're pulling out all the stops for you guys. Yeah. So let's go ahead and listen on.
Beyond the Leash, exploring the untold stories of pet passion and professionalism.
All right. Joining us as our first guest today is the fabulous Chrissy Joy, dog trainer, host of the Dog Moms on DOGTV, and travel with your pets expert. Hey, Chrissy, thanks for joining us today.
It's great to be here. You caught me on a big trip that I'm doing right now with my dogs.
Yeah, and
I love that you're actually traveling as we speak.
Yeah, you are traveling as we speak in our travel-based episode about how to travel with your animals during a busy summer. If there's somebody we need to talk to, it's you.
There you go. Yeah, I'm actually driving right now to Dollywood Amusement Park, where we're going to perform a few days in Tennessee.
Oh, how awesome. And
that is awesome.
Do you have your 4 dogs with you?
I do. So my dog Wiesel is my oldest. He just had a dental yesterday, so he's staying home with my family, kind of resting, recuperating. But the other 4 are with me, and we are, we just packed and prepped so that, because it's hot out and it's going to be hot where we're going. So we did a lot of packing and prepping so that we could be ready for our adventure.
Yeah, absolutely. So packing, prepping 4 dogs in the heat in a van. What is different from just like and I know you would never do this, but if you were going on a trip by yourself, which I know you would never do in a million years, but if you were, how does like the packing change up with 4 dogs in a single van? Yeah. What are some of those key ingredients that get thrown in?
Some things I've learned over the years is that, you have to be super attentive to your days that you're going to be away, but also the risk that you may be a few days outside of your travel in case of delays or problems. So whenever I'm packing food, I'm always packing extra. Whenever I'm packing like engagement type things, I'm also packing additional chews, additional bags of treats. Keeping temperature is important. So if that's something I need to worry about, sorry, I have to do something real quick. There we go. If that's something I'm worried about, I want to make sure that I have those things on hand. So when we get to our location, they have some enrichment, some stimulation, I also do like to travel with water from home. So I'll start them on a couple big jugs of water right from home. So that's familiar to their system. And I actually have a battery generator. So you probably have heard about these things more now than before, but that allows me to recharge fan batteries and, charge my phone if we're somewhere and we get stranded. But, keeping in a big van like this, I want to make sure that the air is flowing throughout our travel and that you're going to stay cool back there. So it's just about thinking outside the box. And with today's world, you have so many gadgets that you can buy that really make that easier.
Right.
That's a great point.
I love that tip about the generator and the water from home. That's super important. And that's something I'd not thought about.
Yeah, you just never know what's going to upset them. Stress travel can affect dogs in all sorts of ways. You might outwardly see it, or you might see it when they go use the bathroom at your next stop. So, that's another important thing is that, all my dogs are older, so I'm able to utilize it. But there are some great travel spots that you could stop on your way. Like Love's has dog parks, so Love's gas stations. And also you can go to Sniff Spot and you can actually rent someone's backyard, which is so crazy. But you can rent out your own personal space or backyard. So I could go for $10, $15, $20 and get a private experience if your dog isn't going to thrive well where there's other animals.
That's a great tip, because one issue I know a lot of dog owners run into is the stop planning. I mean, for me personally, I could take a 10-hour trip and stop once, right? But that does not work for dogs. So there's a little bit of strategy. Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah, there's a little bit of strategy involved as well as preparation.
It also helps to have a van that's absolutely awful on gas mileage. So it's gonna easily force me to stop. But I would say, to be fair, during the day, it's every 3 hours, 3 to 4 hours. If it's a nighttime drive overnight, you can get away with less stops because to them, that's their bedtime. So sometimes I'll actually try to make my travel overnight, like you would do with kids, so that for them, they would rather sleep anyway, and their system is used to that. So there's a lot of little things you can do. And obviously having a great first aid kit is super important to have, and even spending some time with your vet for the what if this happens, and being ready on the road so that if you get a cut, you know how to treat it till you get to the vet. If you have stomach upset, what can you do? And just kind of having a kit ready just in case you run into some problems, which we have definitely had all of those things happen.
So Chrissy, we want to let you get back to your road trip, but last question. You mentioned Love's and you mentioned the Sniff Spot. Are there any other apps that you would recommend for people that are traveling with their pets?
Yeah, there's great ones to consider, like Bring Fido. That's going to help you find dog-friendly places. And also, I love, if you want to go on a hike, you can go to All Trails. It's a great app, and you can actually select pet-friendly that allows you to know, if there's good nature walks, things like that, that just give you some activities on the road. But Sniff Spot, Bring Fido, the All Trails app, and the Loves app, which will save you on gas, but also help you find the specific ones that have dog perks.
That's great.
Fantastic.
That's great.
Great travel tips, Chrissy. We appreciate you so much. Be sure to say hi to Dollywood for us and enjoy your time there.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye, Chrissy. It's always great having Chrissy on. I mean, such a great personality, but especially for travel. I mean, she does so much of it. She knows, it's like she knows the ins and the outs like nobody else. So hopefully some of those tips will come in handy for some of our traveling pet parents this summer.
Yeah, I learned a lot, actually. I jotted down some of her tips myself, so I'm going to incorporate those into our travel plans.
Because I use All Trails for people travel. I had no idea they had a dog friendly filter. That's such one of those little tiny things that can really be a lifesaver on a long road trip.
Very important. And the last thing you want to do is go to a trail with your dog and find out that it's not a dog friendly trail. So
exactly.
Very important.
Yeah. Good stuff. Great stuff all around.
My dog just farted. Sorry. She's sitting behind me.
Air that out.
Okay, go ahead.
So Kristen, I don't know about you. Have you ever tried to fly with one of your animals in any capacity?
Yeah, I have. Tulip and I have flown on 3 occasions. Now she's small, so I can put her in a carrier and bring her on board. And she actually doesn't mind it. She really enjoys it. I love being able to take her with me. I take her with me everywhere I go if I can.
Yeah, well, you're one of the lucky ones, because if your dog's bigger or has bad anxiety or really just doesn't travel well, your options are incredibly limited, which is unfortunate. But luckily for you, there's some incredibly clever entrepreneurs on the case. We're going to be speaking with one, Dan Wiesel, who is trying to reestablish Pet Airways, which will be an amazing option. I don't want to give too much away, so let's go ahead and listen in next. So joining us now on the Pets Ad Life podcast is Dan Wiesel, who is quite the interesting entrepreneur. He has a business called Pet Airways, and believe it or not, it is an airline made specifically for pets and their pet parents. So we're going to be talking a little bit about that today. Dan, thank you so much for joining us.
Oh, thank you very much for having me. I appreciate it.
So right off the bat, you hear an airline built for pets, and the questions just immediately come to mind. I could ask you a million different questions about this, but I'm going to start with what separates you from just a standard commercial airline and paying that fee to sort of bring my dog along for the journey.
Great. Well, so it's a really good question, and that's really the crux of what Pet Airways is. So when you fly on an airline, or you want to fly your pet on an airline, you have two choices. If your pet is small enough, you can put your pet on board with you and put them under the seat in front of you. If your pet is larger and can't do that, they're relegated to the cargo hold of the aircraft. So pet parents all understand that the cargo hold is really not for their loved one, their family pet, their child. So I had that same problem. I wanted to fly my pet Zoe from California to Florida, and it was a traumatic experience for me. I didn't know where Zoe was. I didn't know how she was doing. So it was terrible. And Zoe didn't sort of come out completely okay also. And I hear this from pet parents all the time that, my pet, I don't want to put my pet in cargo. I don't want to put my pet through that thing. Cargo is a very dangerous and nasty place for your pets. So I created Pet Airways, and the major difference in Pet Airways is that pets actually fly in the main cabin of our aircraft. So the types of aircraft we use do not have a baggage compartment under the plane. They're all the people and the pets sit right behind the pilot. So the pilot and our pet attendant, our onboard pet attendant, actually are breathing the same air, flying in the same space as the pilot and the co-pilot. So what's beautiful about it is that we're pet people. We understand pets. We want to make sure that our pets are having a good experience flying, and so we put our pets in the plane. And when the plane is up at a certain altitude, our pet attendant actually goes through the cabin at different times, checking to make sure the pets are okay. Our cabins are fully lit. They're air conditioned, and so the pets are having a comfortable, safe experience flying.
That is such great news to hear. I can't tell you for how long I've wished there was a Pet Airways for us to travel with our dogs. We've always had larger dogs, and the cargo hold was never an option that I would choose. Because like on your website, it says pets are not luggage; they don't belong in the cargo hold.
We call them passengers.
Passengers, yes, that's perfect. So, but I love it. The puns are great. So, is Pet Airways operating currently, or is this something we're working toward, Dan?
So, we flew between 2009 and 2011. And as a startup company, we look to investors for the cash to get to the point where you're profitable. Unfortunately, it was right at the Great Recession of 2009, where all of the investments in all the different genres just disappeared. And so, unfortunately, we just ran out of cash and we had to stop operating. However, the dream and the intent to resurrect that has always been there. And every day I get 10 or so emails. When are you coming back? I want to fly my pet. I don't want to put my pet in cargo. So in the interim, we've reorganized, and we're trying to come back right now. I'm in the process now of speaking to different investors who want to invest in the company, who see the ability to do something great for pets. And so I'm hoping if we can, I'm planning that in next year, summer of next year, we'll be back up and running.
Fantastic. So will the fares be comparable to what we might pay for, a ticket on a traditional commercial airline these days for a human passenger, or how will that work?
Yeah, so there's two fares for pets when you're trying to send a pet in cargo. If you are flying on a plane, then you can check your pet as extra large luggage, like skis and golf clubs and things like that. So they consider that your luggage, and the fares are quite reasonable. Actually, they're maybe $150. Okay, but if you just want to send your pet as freight, if you will, you could be paying for a larger dog, $1,500 or something like that. So. Yeah, it's quite expensive, and then you have to drop your dog off at the cargo facility, and that's a whole other issue. Who's handling your dog and things like that. Mm-hmm. With us, our goal is to make it reasonable. Flying is an expensive proposition, but I've always told people that it's basically the price of what a human would pay for like a non-discounted price. Okay. So if you think about how far you are, if you're going from New York to California, for example, it's a long way to drive. So you have to sort of think about the whole experience. And I've done that. It's a whole experience in hotels and cars and all that other stuff with a dog. With a cat, it's actually even worse because cats do not like to travel in cars. So if you think about that and you compare it to what we're doing, it's very, very reasonable cost.
And the planes that you guys are going to use, is it going to be the same kind of like bigger type thing where you're going to have, hundreds of animals, or is it going to be a smaller jet? Is it going to be based on the route? What type of planes can we expect from Pet Airways?
Yeah, so we need to keep the prices reasonable, and we need to not have too many pets, because if you have 100 pets, it becomes a bit of a zoo. So our planes carry somewhere between 40 and 50 pets, okay, which is very, very manageable. And then at the different locations where they get on and get off, there's maybe 10 or 15 pets that get on and off. So it's very, very reasonable. The pets have, individual attention. So it's not like this mass exodus of pets, okay? And of course, all of our people are pet people. They're either veterinary technicians or people who have been in the pet industry and handled pets all their lives. So we have a very good pet-centric type of experience for the pets.
That's an interesting pitch as a job opportunity, because do you want all of the benefits of being, an airline stewardess without having to deal with airline people? Here we go. You can, if you're a vet tech, right, and you want to do you want to get a little bit of traveling done and kind of get a different breath of fresh air for the industry. That's actually a very interesting proposition.
Absolutely, and we do get a lot. We do get a lot of solicitations to work for us constantly, from pilots to vet techs. We've even had a couple of actual vets who wanted to be in the company. I
mean, I'm over here. I'm on this other computer brushing up my resume right now. Doesn't sound too bad. Doesn't sound too bad.
Dan, I have a question, Dan, about so the inside of the plane. I'm trying to visualize the pet owners, pet parents, and the, say, 40 to 50 pets. Will the pets be required to be in a carrier or a kennel, or like how will that work as far as seating, so to speak?
Yeah, so our planes are basically human planes. They're 19-passenger turboprops. We remove all of the human accoutrements. And they become basically a shell, just a shell. Yeah. And so what we do is we supply the carriers. So that's one of the benefits. You don't have to go to Petco and PetSmart to go and buy $100 a carrier. We supply them. And when you bring your pet to the pet lounge, we put them in the appropriate size carrier. And those carriers are hand delivered to the plane, and then they're put into the plane. We usually can fit, the large pets on the bottom and the smaller pets on the top. And so basically there's a row of carriers, 40 carriers with all the pets in them. And there's an aisle in there. So they're not just sort of shoved in there and all over the place. They're sort of in a row. And then our pet attendant can actually go up and down the aisle during the flight. And it's all lit. And of course they have a flashlight if they need it. But they can look inside the carrier and they can see how each pet is doing.
That's great. Yeah. I mean, that sounds like a very innovative idea. And I mean, such a step up from literally saying that the pet is cargo. I mean, that's how we started this is, other airlines are saying, yeah, that's going to go in with the bags. And, we've all seen the horror stories. We've seen like the infamous United guitar situation where the guy wrote the song about them breaking the guitar. And if that's how they're treating baggage, I would not trust my animal with a business like that. But this sounds like something I could definitely get behind.
Well, when you give your pet to the human airlines, as I call them, you basically have cargo people. Not to denigrate cargo people, but they're not they're cargo people.
They handle inanimate objects.
Exactly. And
they handle inanimate objects.
Pictures of the luggage being tossed and this and that. Now, they don't do that with pets generally, but, there's stories of pets, falling off the conveyor and things like that. So, our people, it's all about the pets. Okay. Every pet is loved. We had people that when we couldn't fly for a snowstorm, for example, okay, they would take the pet home and make sure the pet was okay, So, and of course, when the really, really cute pets came through, we had to slap their hands because they wanted to take them home permanently.
Get them, slip them in the purse like a sugar packet. Yeah.
It's unbelievable. The love that all these people have for the pets. And that translates into how they treat them and handle them. And that's the difference. We are about the pets, not about luggage and throwing them into a cargo hold where it's dark and scary and a lot of strange noises and things like that. That's amazing.
Dan, how can we support Pet Airways to making sure you get off the ground next summer? Is there anything that we as pet parents can do?
Well, that's a great question. And, right now I'm in the fundraising stage. So I'm looking for investors, people of different, amounts. Obviously, we'd like some very serious high net worth individuals to step up and, put in substantial amounts of money. The other thing is that at some point I may do some sort of a crowdfunding situation if people want to do that. I may do a pre-sale type of situation where we would get monies in that way, or people can have a piece of the company by actually investing in Pet Airways. But right now we're trying to get several $1 million for the initial start.
Yep. Well, if this is an idea you like, pet parents, I'm sure some social media buzz would help too. I'm sure this is something you never even thought would be a possibility. So get talking about it, get in that comment box, start posting to Instagram and Facebook, make your TikToks about how badly you need the Pet Airways to succeed. And maybe by next summer, we'll all be traveling first class, even our four-legged friends.
Well, the funniest that you talk about first class in the planes and on the tarmac when we took our pets in there, we actually had a red carpet.
Yes, of course.
I love that.
In the plane, it was a red carpet, and just like when the dignitaries come to visit the president, you roll out the red carpet, and that's what we used to do. And that was the theme of the service. It was a red carpet service for our pets.
Great. Well, wonderful. Dan, thank you so much for taking the time today to talk about this. It's very clear that your passion and compassion for animals will be the building blocks for what I hope, fingers crossed, will be an incredibly successful business. So I'll be following the story closely.
Thank you very much, and thank you to all the pet parents out there. If anybody wants to sign up under our website, petairways.com, we have a contact page. We care at Pet Airways. Pop your name in there, and we'll put you on a mailing list, and we'll keep you up to date on all the things that we're doing.
Sounds great.
Fantastic. Thanks, Dan.
Thank you very much for your time. I really appreciate it.
Pets add life.
I am so hopeful that he's successful. I really think that this can happen. And I think it would revolutionize the way we're able to travel with our pets. Obviously, it's just such a needed service.
Yeah, it's one of those things that right now, flying specifically with your dog or cat is the way it is simply because that is the way it is. It doesn't have to be that way. And I think that's where Pet Airways comes in. So if you're listening to this for whatever reason, you've got like a cool million sitting around, pop it on over to Dan, right?
Please.
Please. So, and honestly, if you post on social media, if you make a big deal out of this, like any type of positive buzz would be incredibly helpful for an upstart business. Sign up for the newsletter and things like that. I was saying in our little post-interview chat that we don't record that this is one that I care deeply about. I really want people to be able to feel more freedom of movement as a pet owner. It's one of the top reasons that people don't get pets is because they are thinking about moving or they travel a lot. And making things more accessible will make pet ownership more accessible and easier and more affordable. It's a win across the board. So be on the lookout for more news from Pet Airways.
The product of the week.
And now it's time for our products of the week. Products of the week. And Kristen, why don't you go ahead and lead us off?
All right, sure. I guess this could sort of be a travel adjacent product. So this is going to be the grand finale of my calming product series for the month of June, since it's
grand finale
Anxiety Awareness Month. So this is a really cool product for dogs. It was developed by neurobiologists and veterinarians to help dogs. Initially, it was created for dogs that had separation anxiety. However, they have found that it also has application for other, anxieties that dogs have. So it could be used for travel anxiety. Some dogs don't enjoy travel. Some dogs love to jump in the car and go for a ride. So it's called the Calmer Canine anxiety treatment system. And it uses, and I actually have a piece of it here, or I did. Yeah, here it is. I just want to, if you're watching if you can see the video, you can see what this is. So basically, it's a little halo that your dog wears over their head like this. And
Great demonstration.
And it straps onto a vest. And when you press this button, it delivers, let me see if I can remember this acronym, targeted pulsed electromagnetic frequency, little microcurrents of frequencies to the amygdala, which is a part of the dog's brain and our brains as well, that regulates emotions. And they say, and they've done clinical studies on this, that if you use this twice a day for 15 minutes a day for 6 weeks, it almost retrains the brain to not be anxious about certain triggers. So, and what it's ultimately doing is reducing inflammation in the part of the brain that is causing your dog stress. So it's called Calmer Canine. I think it's super, kind of high tech, but super simple to use. And I think it might work for travel anxiety too. I actually asked if it worked on humans, like if you're stressed out, if you could wear it on your head.
That's what I'm mostly curious about is can I zap my anxiety away with microwaves?
There are no studies to, prove that that's effective, but I'm willing to try it. So
yeah. I mean, I'll try anything 23 times. That's amazing. And I apologize to our listeners who may be listening to this first thing in the morning. That's a lot of science. For first thing in the morning.
You're right,
but
that is.
It is a lot of science, but it's absolutely incredible the thought that's going into pet products nowadays. I mean, something like that would have been reserved for humans 20 years ago, right? People wouldn't have studied that and came up with the idea and the concept and the product. But it just goes to show you how far we're willing to go to help our pets and their anxiety now too. So that's amazing. Yeah, what an amazing product.
What is your product, Chris?
So I've got a product here that I don't personally use, but I know a few people who do, who maybe, if you may be leaving your animal at home, either with a sitter, or if you work in an office that's not dog friendly, or if you're just going for a weekend trip and you're comfortable leaving the pet home, this is an advanced tech pet camera called the Pet Cube. And it does all the things you would expect a modern nanny cam to do. It connects to your phone. You can move it around. You can speak into it. But what I love about this is that it has a treat dispenser attached to it. Ooh. So you can actually, with the Pet Cube, you can check in on your animal. You can let them hear your voice. And you could actually have them, if they're good with vocal commands, especially dogs, have them sit, get the treat, and it's sort of like that stimulation that they expect when somebody's home of like, oh, the person's here, I gotta act good, I get my treat. It does all the amazing stuff that a camera should do. Full 1080p resolution, two-way audio. It does night vision really well in a grayscale. It'll even do motion alerts. So if you want to use it also for home security, right? And you want to say detect people, because there shouldn't be people here, or if you're expecting a pet sitter and you want to get a notification when your pet sitter arrives so that you could give them a call or either buzz them into your apartment, something like that. There's a lot of flexibility here. It's not a incredibly expensive product. It's about $100. I think they're even doing a sale right now. The website's petcube.com. A great piece of reassurance to have. I have a camera that I could talk to the cat, and I stopped doing it because she gets confused. I think dogs can piece it together a little bit better. But I love having a camera and having that visibility on my pet and knowing that they're behaving normally. They're not displaying some of those signs of anxiety that may only come up when you're not home. So it could really be used for a lot of different purposes. So I think a good camera, this is a good recommendation for a camera. If you don't think it's great, find a different camera. I think it's really great for a pet owner to have.
Yeah, I love that, especially if you're traveling and you have, like you mentioned, the pet sitter. Talk about giving you peace of mind that you can, just check in on your phone to make sure your pet's,
absolutely. I know it's Animal Anxiety Awareness Month, but the people, we've got anxiety too. And when I leave home, I am constantly anxious about the cat. I want to make sure she is still going up and down stairs. She's not over vocalizing, that she doesn't seem too bored, but doesn't seem too anxious. I mean, I'm insane. Because ask my wife.
You're like a helicopter pet parent.
I'm a helicopter cat dad. I wouldn't have it any other way.
Q&As.
All right, Chris, we're up to our 2 questions section of the show.
My favorite part.
I know. And we would love to hear your questions. And, they could be about your pets, or they could be just, maybe you have a question about a product, or maybe you have a dilemma you're trying to sort out with your pet that you'd like to share with us. And maybe we'll have you on the show to help you figure it out. You'll just go to petsaddlife.org/podcast, and you can submit your question, your comments, and you can even leave a voice memo, like a voice question, like you can leave an audio, but that's what I'm trying to say, an audio version of your question, and we'll play it on the show. Okie doke. So let's see. Let's do this first one from Brian in Phoenix. Brian says, with summer heat on the rise, what are some essential tips to keep my dog cool and safe during the hot months? And are there any specific products or practices you recommend? Great question.
Yeah, great question.
You want to take a stab at it first, Chris?
Yeah, I will. I think, I talked a bit about this on our previous episode. It might have been 2 episodes ago. And I think my biggest takeaway from that is be tuned into your dog's behavior when they're normal. And then when they go outside, your dog's going to pant. It doesn't matter, especially long-haired dogs. They're going to pant. But learn what normal panting is, and then maybe take them to a dog park and let them go buck wild and see how they pant at that point, right? After rigorous exercise. And know that if you're just normally walking your dog and they start panting like they were just playing at the dog park, it's time to take a break. It is time to take a break. Travel with a dog-friendly water bottle. Dogs need water just as much as people, and they can't sweat. So also understand when it's simply too hot for your dog to take that extended walk. Instead, walk in the early hours of the morning or the later hours at night when the sun's a bit lower. Because sometimes avoidance can be the only solution, especially I always feel bad. I see in our town often some big huskies that are just not built for this kind of weather and demand an incredible amount of exercise out of their owners. So if you have an animal that's sort of in that category, I would recommend early morning long walks or twilight long walks, and just learn to recognize that behavior.
Yeah. And just to add on to that, Chris, I'd say, you probably need to modify your routine for the summertime. If you're one of those folks that, exercises with your dog, maybe goes for a jog or likes to go for a midday walk, you can keep doing that yourself. What kind of heat tolerance you can handle. But like Chris said, the dog isn't going to tell you they don't want to go with you. They want to be with you, and they're wearing that fur coat. So please just be really mindful of the time of the day, the temperature, and also the pavement gets super hot, in the summertime too. And make sure your dog's getting a great hydration. I love dog fountains or cat fountains or whatever, pet you have. I love fountains for better hydration for your pet because they're more likely to drink more than from a stagnant water bowl. Just keep those tips in mind and have a safe summer with your pooch.
All good stuff. We've got a question here. I think I'm going to be an expert in this one. I see one here from Sam in New York. Is that the one you were going to pull too?
It's not, but that's okay. It's all right.
Okay. All right.
It was a cat question, so we're good.
Well, this one's a cat question as well. So Sam from New York asks, I have a senior cat who has become less active and seems to be losing weight. What are some steps I could take to ensure she's getting proper nutrition and the care she needs as she ages? Which, if I'm an expert in one thing, it's old cat care. And I think a lot of cat owners take for granted how simple cats could be. I was telling my boss earlier today that sometimes I feel weird considering myself an expert in pet products because my pet uses food and litter. And that's it. Like, I go to the store and those are that's all she wants and desires and needs. And I think it's easy as a cat owner to fall into that routine. As your cat ages, you may need to change some of the products, specifically the food. There are senior diets for a reason. They are more calorie dense. They are sometimes softer, especially with kibble. And sometimes you may need to switch foods entirely. We had to switch Tiger from a dry kibble food to wet food because her teeth just weren't holding up. She didn't want to crunch on food anymore. She wanted something soft. She really just eats with her tongue now, and the mess she makes around in her area kind of proves that. So it may just be time to make some changes. Those senior diet foods are more calorie rich because the cat is going to put less into its stomach. You may want to look into some stimulation activities, some automatic toys. Some cats become incredibly apathetic. But what I've noticed with my cat is she doesn't want to play with a toy, but she wants to be around us. She will follow us into every single room we go into, and she will make herself a little nest in the corner and plop down. And sometimes she just wants to be around. So let her be around, give her some nice pets, let her know that you're there, switch up the diet. And you'd be surprised how those little changes can be exactly what the cat needs.
Yeah, I agree with all of that. And I would just add to that, as we always say, talk to your veterinarian as well, especially, I don't know the exact age of your kitty, but senior cats, just like senior anything, need to see the veterinarian more frequently because they age so much faster than us. So her weight loss could also, be a result of some health condition. And so it's very important that you are taking her for her senior wellness exam.
To give you a little peek behind the curtain here, Tiger had stopped eating, and her at the time, she was 19. We thought, oh well, this is it. Take her to the vet because obviously I want to be sure. Turns out she just had a bacterial infection in her kidney, and it was affecting her appetite. And she got a single shot, and then was right back to being herself. Put the weight right back on, and has since then lived another 18 months. So
and
definitely,
imagine if you hadn't taken her to the vet.
Right, exactly. So sometimes it could be an issue completely unrelated to age. So that's great advice, Kristen.
Well, Chris, that was a really fun show. We had some great travel specific guests, and I learned a lot. How about you?
Yeah, I learned a lot too, and I'm excited for all my summer travels. Luckily, my cat is going to stay at home, but I picked up some tips and tricks, some great product ideas, even doing my own research here. I'm already feeling more confident about leaving the cat for even just weekends away. So I agree. I learned a lot.
Awesome. And hey, you know what? The best part is you guys out there, I know you've got travel plans. You can actually take us along, the Pets Ad Life podcast, and listen to us during your travels. Anywhere podcasts are found, you can find us, and we'd love to join you on your trip.
Yeah, I've been told that the sound of my voice is scientifically proven to ease anxiety in most animals. I mean, that is a fact. Don't look into it. Don't do any research.
Don't test it. Don't even test it.
Don't test it. Just take it at face value as a true statement. We will be back here next Tuesday, as always. In the meantime, be sure to like, subscribe, share the show with a friend. And until then, enjoy your summer vacations, and we'll see you next week.
Pets Ad Life.